Hey guys, and welcome to one more episode of Builder Nation. For today's agenda, we have Greg Peterson, Chief Engineer at Airspace Experience Technologies, the company transforming mobility between cities and suburbs. So welcome, Greg. Super happy to have you here. Welcome to Builder Nation.
Well, thank you for having me. Appreciate the opportunity to share what we're doing at ASX with your community. I started out at Pontiac Product Engineering at General Motors. I was there for almost 20 years. I ended up at Chevrolet Pontiac Canada Advanced Vehicle Engineering Group. And then I left General Motors and started working on an electric vehicle project. So this was in the early 90s. That's going to date me, but started in on electrics and really liked the potential. And then I ended up working at Daimler Chrysler and their street and racing technology guy. I'm a high performance type person. So at Pontiac, I did high performance powertrains and chassis development for cars like the Trans Am. And then at Street and Racing Technology, I worked on the lightweight Viper program. And then Lotus hired me and I started working on lightweight structures. I led their lightweight structures group and did a lot of carbon fiber work and ended up consulting on a number of airplane projects, including the Icon A5, where I led the interior engineering. At Lotus, I ended up leading a nationwide study that showed that you could do a 30% lighter vehicle than what was in production at cost parity. And that was a part of the US government 2025 emissions regulations background. So they used our report as well as a couple others. So I started working on electric vehicles, like I said, in the early 1990s. And even as late as just a couple of years ago, before I went to ASX, I was working on an electric mid-size van that included postal service. I used to fly, so I love flying, so I'm passionate about aviation. So when the founder of ASX asked me if I'd be willing to come on board, it sounded like a very interesting project. And so I'm still here over 2.5 years later. At ASX, we designed a plane for manufacturability first. We chose the processes to meet our run rate times, and then we worked with suppliers who could meet those goals and targets.
And I wanted to ask you, I mean, now that you are the chief engineer and that you have like more than 2 years, 2.5 years, you mentioned, in the company, I know that you guys recently announced the future launch of the Sigma 6 cargo drone. So maybe if you can share a little bit about that, in what part of the process you guys are, anything.
Sure. We built our first full-scale mule and we're preparing it for unmanned flight. We're using remote piloting. So it's something ASX has a background in building drones and creating software to control those drones. So our team thinks of it as a big drone. It's a 40-foot wingspan. It's a very big drone. And our target is 2,000 pounds of cargo capacity. So it's very much a heavy lift vehicle. And at this point, we're concentrating on cargo. The barriers to production are much lower with cargo than with passengers. However, we do have a passenger mod design as well as our cargo mod design. Just to give your listeners a little background on the plane, this plane has a cargo container system and a passenger container system that are detached from the aircraft and then delivered into a terminal or a hangar, so that the plane itself is basically equivalent of like a Class 8 truck that picks up different containers and then takes them to the final destination. So we have many customers that are very interested. We have memorandums of understanding and letters of intent to purchase planes already, because these people see basically how efficient this is. And another key factor in our plane design was being quiet. So if you've ever heard a helicopter coming into land, they're noisy. And we want to be flying in rural areas. Some of our first customers want us to deliver parts from a manufacturing plant to an automotive assembly plant. And it's a 3-mile run through a city. and they have over 100 trucks, Class 8 trucks, that are going that 3-mile distance to deliver parts. And it clogs up traffic, it creates emissions that pollute the city, and the drivers are idle most of the time on that journey. They're sitting idling in traffic. So with our plane, we can't carry as much as a Class 8 truck, of course, but what we can do is carry cargo, go straight up, fly as a crow flies, no stop signs, land, drop the parts off in about 2 minutes, and fly back and get the next batch of parts. It's a very, very quiet machine and very versatile. One of the issues with electric vehicles, as you and your readership well understand, is it takes a while to charge these batteries. And so what we did was basically design these containers that are removable to be fully charged when they come to the plane. So we have no downtime for charging with our system.
What would you say it's the main differentiator from ASX?
Our main differentiator is that we're automotive guys and ladies, not aviation people. So what drives automotive, and certainly my background has been manufacturing. So manufacturing is what drove the design of our plane. Our plane isn't fancy. It's not a sleek, tapered wing, variable section wing. It's a Hershey bar wing is what we call it. But what it allows us to do, because it's a straight section wing, we can build that wing very quickly. Some of the plane companies I've worked with in the past, it would take a week to build a wing, and our target is under 1 hour to build a complete wing.
And I mean, talking about the next steps of the company, are you planning to expand soon or any other projects?
Yes, yeah. We are out in our funding right now to produce the production intent plane. So that's where we're at. We've got a mule. We've got a lot of lessons learned, and we know what we want to do for our next plane for the most part. So we are heading for that design, the production design, which will be, of course, a little different than what we have now, but we learned a tremendous amount with the plane we have. We built it with a small team in less than 2 years, from basically a blank sheet of paper to a prototype that's capable of leaving the ground. And we did it on a very, very slim budget.
Well, congratulations on that. I'm pretty sure that it wasn't an easy job. So thank you so much, Greg, for sharing all of the insights. And the last question, last but not least, from your perspective, where do you think the future of the industry is going?
Oh, I think the future of the industry is just extremely bright. These planes, there are over 400 eVTOL companies around the world today. The market is just expanding, and the reason is because of efficiency. They're non-polluting for the most part. We intend to be using solar for some of our battery charging, so that's going to be a part of it. But the fact that you can fly very efficiently at 125 miles an hour, our target fuel economy is near 20 mile per gallon E. So extremely efficient for an aircraft. And because of the low noise of our plane, and because of all the congestion, we're eventually going to be doing passengers. And if you look around, the population of the world is going to expand by about 25% in the next 30 years. And we have gridlock today in many cities. Try driving in Los Angeles in rush hour, or Boston or Chicago. I mean, it's just a mess. And if you're ever in rush hour traffic going 0 miles an hour, just look up into the sky, and what do you see? Empty space. And that's where we're going to be.
Thank you so much for being here, for sharing your experiences. Do you have any social media handles? Where can people find you? Where can people follow you or the company?
Sure. If you go to iflyasx.com, you'll see a video there showing our plane and showing it being the passenger container being shuttled and cargo. We're working with the military. We're working with the forest fighters. Forest fighters love the plane. Medevac, where you can come into a remote area, pick somebody up that's injured and take them to a hospital, or even transport somebody from a small regional hospital to a major metropolitan area for medical work that can't be done at the smaller hospitals. So there are every time we meet people, we learn new needs that they have, that they say, this plane can do that for us. So it's a very versatile machine, and we're looking forward to getting it into production.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. We'll make sure to follow you up, guys. And remember, guys, that you can also find more information, interesting articles, interesting interviews directly on our website, controlhub.com/builder-nation. We would love to hear from you. And once again, Greg, thank you so much for being here, for taking the time, for sharing your experiences, your perspective on the matter. And hopefully we'll get to connect soon.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.